Welcome everyone. We will be starting in a couple of minutes, not yet 6 o'clock. Feel free to type questions in the comments facility at any time. Well, we are going to be starting soon. Got Angela with me. We are going to be talking about the GD and homeschooling and all very interesting topics relating to the GD. Feel free to type comments in the chat facility at any point in time. We will be answering your questions. It's going to be 6 o'clock any moment, and we will then start. Okay. Well, welcome to our Homeschooling for Success webinar, and thank you so much for joining us. Homeschooling has really seen exponential growth over the last few years, and many parents have been contacting us as they investigate the different homeschooling options. My name is Sean Swartz. I am the CEO of Learnalot. Learnalot is an official authorized education partner for the GED. A special welcome to all of our prospective GED parents and students. Today we are really privileged also to have Angela on the webinar with us. Angela is really an expert in the GED as well as a highly experienced GED tutor. She really has been tutoring GED students for many, many years already. She specializes in online tutoring and has helped hundreds, if not thousands, of students already with their GED over the last few years. And so it's a really unique opportunity for you guys to ask any questions should you want to. So firstly, please like our webinar, our stream, our video. It really helps spread the word. Follow us, follow our channel. And we are live on YouTube. So we've made the comments facility available for you to post any of your questions. Feel free to type in your questions. We will be monitoring these questions and try our best to answer all of them. So as many of you know, traditional education pathways don't always cater to the diverse needs of every student. If it did, we wouldn't be having this webinar in the first place. So the GED really offers an alternative route to academic achievement. And the GED has made it possible to earn the equivalent of a high school leaving certificate for work purposes or for further studies all the way back since 1942. So today we have more than 22 million graduates of the GED, and it really is an internationally recognized and accredited option if you are looking for an alternative to the South African curriculum. Before we continue, I would like to just briefly mention what the GED is all about, and then we can jump straight into the different offerings that are available. So the GED makes it incredibly easier for students because the first thing it does is it reduces a major stress and anxiety, and that is all about the exams. Why? because unlike the South African curriculum, where our South African matric students have started writing exams or will be starting to write exams very shortly, they've been preparing for these exams the entire year, and it all comes down to the next 2 weeks. Stress, anxiety, what happens if you get sick halfway through, haven't had time to learn for one of the exams, whatever it may be. The GED is very different. Our GED exams are available nearly every single day of the year. So stress and anxiety just disappears. We have 4 exams that make up the GED diploma. They are English, mathematics, science, and social studies. There are 4 exams. However, in total, there are actually 8 different subjects that you need to study for, but in 2 of the exams, 3 of the subjects are combined. So we have an English exam, we have a mathematics exam, we have a science exam, but now the science exam is actually made up out of life sciences, physical sciences, as well as earth and space sciences. And the social studies exam is made up of history, geography, and economics. All 4 exams need to be passed in order to graduate. Most students actually study 1 exam at a time. And by doing that, it allows our students to really focus, prepare, and reduce the stress. They then write the exam, they pass that exam, and they never have to worry about it again. And then they move on to the next subject. And they do that 4 times over. Literally, as soon as they have passed the 4th exam, they graduate, and within hours, they will be receiving a GED diploma and a GED transcript by email, which they can then use to either apply for a job that requires a matric equivalent, a grade 12 equivalent, or to be able to study further. You can study at the vast majority of private colleges in South Africa. You can study online through American and other universities, and you can study around the world. The GED is really very well recognized. The only thing you cannot do, so I want to state it up front, you cannot study at a public university such as WITS or UJ or UCT. So if that is one of the things that you planned on doing, then the GED is certainly not for you. The GED requires you to be at least 17 years or older before you can write the final exam. However, many students do start studying before they turn 17. One last thing that we have is called a GED Ready test. A GED Ready test is, you can consider it similar to a matric prelim exam, where it tells you whether you are ready for the final exam or not, and you have to pass it before you are allowed to move on to the next exam. I've just been told the sound is very low, so I'm just going to be increasing that. I hope that is better. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about, this is the GED in general. I've mentioned it at a very, very high level. It can become very complex. We support things like test accommodations. So if your child has the medical reports to support it, you can apply for additional time. You can apply for a reader or a scribe or whatever it may be. Exams are written online on a computer at a testing center. And so it's a really amazing opportunity to consider the GED. And please feel free to type in all your questions about the GED. But before we continue digging deeper into what the GED is all about and answering all your questions relating to the GED, I wanted to talk about how you prepare for the GED. How do you know when you're ready to write the exams? How do you prepare for the exams? How do you study? Do you study online? Do you use a textbook? Do you have a live tutor? How does it work? And so at Learnalot, we have a couple of different offerings that you can use to prepare for the GED. And we recently had a podcast that we would like you to listen to. And so just for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to play this podcast. It's really an interesting discussion between two people about the GED in general, and also discussing the Learnalot options that we have available. And after that, I will summarize and take it further. So without further ado, I am going to play this recording, and then we can take it from there.
Okay, so this time we're diving into something that could be a real game changer. And, you've been looking into this. Online GED programs. You've been looking into it as a way to kind of open some new doors for yourself.
Yeah.
And what I think is so interesting about this is it's right at the heart of this huge shift we're seeing towards online learning.
Right.
And you specifically have been checking out Learnalot.
Yes.
Which caught my eye because it seems like they're doing more than just the usual, test prep,
It's true. Yeah.
It seems like there's a lot more to it.
They've really leaned into this idea of trying to make the learning experience way more personalized and flexible.
Oh, interesting.
Which is so important these days.
Totally.
And, that really comes across in how they've structured their GED program.
Okay, so for our listeners who maybe aren't familiar, let's unpack what we mean by GED. What are we actually talking about here?
Right. So GED stands for General Education Diploma.
Okay.
And what makes it so valuable is that it's recognized all over the world as basically equivalent to a high school diploma.
Huge.
Which is a really big deal, whether you're thinking about applying to college or, going into the job market.
Yeah, it's like that baseline that a lot of places are looking for.
Exactly. And, I think sometimes there's this misconception that it's a shortcut or somehow easier than a traditional high school diploma.
Right.
But the truth is it's designed to meet those same standards.
It's not about taking the easy way out.
Not at all.
Yeah, totally. One thing that I thought was really interesting about Learnalot, and especially when it comes to online learning, is how much they emphasize the personal touch.
Yeah.
You actually get a dedicated coach.
Right.
Which I think is fantastic, because having someone in your corner, just cheering you on and helping you through it, I think can make a world of difference.
For sure.
And then on top of that, they have weekly live online lessons with an actual tutor.
Wow.
It's not just here's some pre-recorded content, good luck.
Right.
It's you get that live interaction, which I would imagine is huge when you're learning remotely.
It is. And that's one of the biggest challenges with online learning, right?
Yes.
It's feeling isolated.
It's so easy to feel like you're just on your own little island. And so to have that connection with the tutor and even other students, I think, can really make a difference.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, and this is where I think it gets even more interesting, they've incorporated AI-powered tutoring.
Which, it can be incredibly powerful when it's done well.
Exactly. And it's instead of just getting generic practice questions, their AI actually looks at your work.
Oh, wow.
And creates a personalized learning path for you.
It's amazing.
It's like having this tutor who's constantly adapting to your needs. It really is. It's not just throwing a bunch of information at you and hoping for the best. It seems like they've really thought about how to make the learning process as effective as possible.
Right. And, when we're talking about having that clear structure, Learnalot delivers on that too. They have a system that seems really designed to keep you on track without making you feel overwhelmed.
Right, because that's the thing.
A lot of people struggle with.
It's so easy to feel overwhelmed.
Exactly.
Especially with something like this.
They break it down into these weekly lessons. They give you a study schedule, comprehensive study guides, all of that is taken care of.
Wow.
So you can really just focus on learning the material.
That's fantastic.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned feeling overwhelmed, because I think that's a big barrier for people.
Yeah.
You know, trying to take on something new and feeling like
Totally.
it's all just too
You
much.
feel like a mountain.
Exactly. And I think having this structured approach
Yeah.
can really help with that.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about, giving you the information. It's about making sure you're actually absorbing it, understanding how to use it.
Right.
And this is where those monthly progress reports that they provide
Okay.
really come in handy.
Okay.
Because it serves two purposes.
Oh, interesting.
It gives you feedback on how you're doing,
Yeah.
but it also, kind of creates that sense of accountability,
Yeah.
which can be really helpful when you're the one, kind of driving the bus, so to speak.
Absolutely. It's like having someone checking in to make sure you're staying engaged and you haven't just just wandered off into the wilderness.
Totally.
So that's really cool. And of course, life happens, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you're cruising along, you're in the groove of things, and then something comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Life throws you a curveball and you need to take a break. Have they addressed that at all?
They have, and actually, Learnalot offers a really flexible cancellation policy.
Okay.
After 3 months, you can actually cancel if you need to, no questions asked.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they seem to,
They get it.
recognize that life happens.
Yeah.
And they've tried to build that flexibility in.
It's not like you're locked in
Exactly.
forever.
Exactly.
Which is really nice to see.
Yeah.
And, speaking of flexibility, it's not just about the schedule, right?
Right.
It's also about what you can actually do with your GED once you have it.
Exactly.
And I think this is where it gets really exciting to start thinking about those, bigger goals.
Yeah.
Why are you exploring this in the first place?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are you hoping to achieve?
Exactly. What are you hoping to get out of it?
Mm.
And the cool thing is Learnalot actually addresses this head on.
Oh, okay.
When I was on their website, I noticed they have a whole section dedicated to after the GED.
That's awesome.
It's not just about, we're going to get you prepped for this test and then see ya.
Right.
Good luck out there.
It's great that they're thinking bigger picture.
Exactly. And they highlight different college programs,
cool.
career paths that are available to GED graduates. They even have, I thought this was really interesting, they have a career guidance service.
Oh, wow.
Which to me just shows they're really trying to make this a more holistic experience.
It's about recognizing that, for a lot of people, the GED isn't the end point.
Right.
It's a stepping stone to something else.
It opens a door
Exactly.
that maybe wasn't open before.
Exactly. And something else might look different for everybody.
Totally. And I think it's just really empowering to know that there's support and guidance there.
Yeah, totally.
As you're trying to figure out what that next step might look like for you.
Absolutely. It's about giving people the tools and resources they need to succeed, both during the program and after it.
Totally. And I don't know if this is going to resonate with you, but I thought this was kind of a fun little motivational twist.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Dwayne Vermeulen?
Of course, the rugby player.
Yes. The Springbok legend. Yeah, well, he's actually a supporter of Learnalot students.
Oh, wow.
I thought it was just kind of a cool, little detail. They have these, really inspiring figures kind of, in their corner cheering these students on.
It's those little touches that I think can really make somebody feel seen,
right,
supported.
Yes.
Which is so important in a learning environment.
Absolutely. And, speaking of support, one of the things that stood out to me when I was looking at their materials was just how much they emphasized flexibility. Mm-hmm. They make it very clear that you can start the program anytime.
Oh, wow. Which is huge.
Which, again, for people who are, juggling different commitments and
life,
right?
It doesn't always fit neatly into a schedule.
No, not at all.
So that's really important.
It takes the pressure off. You can start when you're ready. You can work at your own pace.
And I think that really ties back to what we were talking about earlier about, really empowering people to take control of their own educational journey.
Yes, absolutely. It's if not now, when?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
This could be that first step towards those goals you've been talking about.
I love that. It's about finding that right time for you and then just taking that leap.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, this has been great. I mean, it's been really fascinating to kind of dig into Learnalot with you.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
It seems like they've really thought about not just, the GED itself,
right,
but how to actually support their students through the whole journey and beyond.
Yeah, I totally agree. They seem to really understand that it's not just about, checking a box.
Right.
It's about actually like opening these doors to new possibilities.
It's about empowering people
Yes.
to take control of their futures. Me too. So for anybody out there who's listening and maybe considering taking that step towards a GED,
Okay.
hopefully this deep dive has given you some things to think about.
Absolutely. And, sometimes the most important step is the first one.
There you go. I love that. All right. Well, until next time.
See you later.
Okay. So this time we're done.
Well, I hope that was informative. It's covered a lot of information and a lot about what we do at Learnalot, and I think it really summarizes things really, really clearly. So how do we work? As it was mentioned in the podcast, we have different options available. And the most popular option is the GD group option with Learnalot. And so the way that works is we put students into really small groups, probably about 12 to 15 students per group. We normally start at least one group, if not more, per month. So you can start at any time of the year. The students join this group. You get a timetable that tells you exactly what you need to study every single day or every single week for the next year so that you ensure that you are prepared for the exams. We try to work really in a similar way to the government school holidays in South Africa, just to make sure that people are able to take a break, go away with their families, and not miss out on their studies. But at the same time, you can literally start at any time of the year. So you get this timetable, you know what to study, it tells you exactly what to study. Everything's done online. So you use our online learning material to prepare with. The online learning material comprises of videos, reading material, lots and lots of questions. These questions are obviously designed and are very similar to the questions that are asked inside the GED exams. All GED exams are multiple choice questions, and so we do the same thing in our learning material. It's all online, it's all designed in a very similar way, and it's all multiple choice. We also have additional resources, and AI with the ChatGPT engine and everything else that's come around over the last 2 years has really transformed the way we live our lives. And we've embraced AI in our learning materials, and we've actually integrated AI into them. And so we have a whole bunch of different lessons that are 100% AI-based. They're optional lessons. You don't have to participate in them, but they really, really work well. And why do they work well? Well, because it's 100% personalized. It's personalized to you and what you know and what you don't know. And so a lesson for one person could take 3 minutes, and the exact same lesson could take 30 minutes for somebody else, because the AI tutor will not stop until it is convinced that you know and understand and are well prepared for the topic that it has been trying to teach you. We also have weekly live lessons. So on your timetable, you know exactly once a week when to join our Zoom lessons. You get access to your tutor. You listen to these live lessons. You can participate in them. You can crack a joke. You can ask a question. You can just chat with your peers in your group. You also get allocated to a chat group where you can also chat to each other. And so we really created a holistic solution. But at the same time, we've also tried to make it as affordable as possible. So everything that I've described now costs 1,150 Rand per month. I believe that's quite reasonable considering the opportunities and the offering that's included in the package. We do have cheaper packages if that is not affordable. Our cheapest package is 599 Rand per month. It excludes one or two things that I've just mentioned in the group package, mainly the live lessons, but you do get recordings, you do still get the AI tutor. So we've made packages available to everybody. It's really a wonderful opportunity to get you to be prepared and to pass your GED exams. Now, the GED and our offering from Learnalot that we offer is really starting from at any point in time. And so you just start paying that monthly fee, you join the timetable and you study. And it really, really works very well. Let's jump into some questions. We've received some questions here, so let's jump into them. We've got some questions by email, and we've also got some questions by the chat group. So the first one here on the chat group is from Shelley. Says, will an eclectic approach be enough to prepare for the GED? My oldest is turning 13 in January. So as I've mentioned before, the GED is not designed for kids under the age of 16, simply because you can't even write the exams until you are 17. However, the GED is very much, well, I wouldn't say very much, it's 100% critical thinking based. And so you don't need to have followed a very specific curriculum to be able to start the GED. Angela, do you want to just talk a little bit more about the critical thinking components and how students can start at the age of 16, and if they're not 16 yet, what the other options are available with the pre-GED, etc.?
Hi, Sean. Yes, I think you covered that we probably wouldn't want students to start with a GED if they are younger than 16, because they can only write the exams when they are 17. So they can use that year to prepare for the exams and then, you know, start writing when they're 17. If they're younger than 16, we do also offer a bridging course for students that are probably in the region of 15 and a half, where they can start on a much lower level with a critical reading side. So it just covers English reading and English language, and it covers math. The reason why it only covers English is because in the GED, your social studies and your science is also critical reading, critical thinking. So the GED bridging course just introduces the students to that critical reading and critical thinking side of things. And then, of course, it starts math on a much lower level. So yes, I think 13 is quite young still. We would generally suggest around about the age of 15 to start with a bridging course. And then once they've done the bridging course, they can move over to the GED to start preparing for the GED.
And just from a critical thinking perspective?
Yes, that's what the GED is about. It's about just understanding what you're reading. It's comprehension. Most of it is comprehension. You will get a passage or an image or a chart or a graph, and you have to find your answer in that passage or that image that they give you. If it's not in the passage, it cannot be the correct answer. So, and even in the math, there's a lot of word sums, And it's about understanding what the question is asking of you, before trying to find the answer. So yes, it is mostly made up of critical reading and then also critical thinking. Science got a lot to do with things that you work with on a daily basis. So definitely it's not like other curriculums that are very academic, where you have to learn like a parrot. This is comprehension. Your answer is in the passage, and you need to learn the skills how to find the answers in the passages or the images that you get.
And I think we can say that critical thinking is really important for the real world, not just for the GED, because no one needs to remember facts. If you can't remember something, you look it up on Google. But the real world requires thinkers. You need to use your brain. You need to be able to work things out. You don't need to learn anything off the heart. If you are asked to learn paragraphs and essays off by heart, then you're doing the wrong thing. It's got nothing to do with that. It is all critical thinking based. It's a major component. And we are preparing students for the new world. And that is what the GED is all about. So Shelley, yeah, a bit young still, but when we get a bit older, doesn't matter what curriculum or what approach you've been following, anyone is welcome to do the GED. There are no prerequisites for the GED. Flexibility is a major component of what we offer. The question is, what if a student can't follow your suggested weekly classes? Well, the whole point of our offering is flexibility. So firstly, our live lessons are always recorded. You can go back and watch them at any point in time. If you need to ask a question, you can always email or WhatsApp or whatever it may be to your allocated tutor. But at the same time, we understand flexibility. We understand that some people want to take it over 2 years. Some students want to finish it in 9 months. So we also have our Gateway program, and our Gateway program is designed specifically for this. You can choose the timetable length that you want to follow. We will create a timetable for you, a personalized timetable specifically relating to the length of time that you want to take to complete the GED. We highly recommend only doing one subject at a time. That works really, really well. And we even define the order that you do those subjects for very important and specific reasons. We've been doing this for many, many years. We know what we're doing, and it works really, really well. Another question is, can I simply follow a recording of the class? Yes, that is our Gateway option. There's no need to pay for live lessons when you're not going to be using them. So take the cheaper option, the Gateway option. It's an incredibly popular option. It works very, very nicely. We have students around the world using this option, and it's really, really an interesting and popular option. Angela, just a couple of other questions that we've received. So by the way, just if you do have more questions, please type them in the comments facility. But in the interim, I'm just going to jump to a couple of questions that I've got from emails that I received before the webinar started. The first one is about accommodations. Can my child get extra time? The doctor says that he needs the extra time.
Yes, for sure. They can get extra time, but they have to have specialist reports detailing the reason why they would need extra time. And they're actually called psych ed reports from educational specialists. There's a process that needs to be followed whereby you will apply for the accommodation, you upload all the reports, and the GED has a panel of specialists who actually look at the reports that's sent to them. It takes around about 30 days, and they will then come back with a decision whether they will give the extra time. They have up to, I think, 100% extra time. And then there are other accommodations like readers and scribes that the GED also offer at no extra cost for the student. But again, it needs to be, they need proper specialist reports that are not older than 5 years. And the application then needs to be uploaded to them, and they will then decide whether they will give the accommodations or not.
And this whole process is free.
Free, 100% free.
Yep. The GED is not looking to make money off that. If a student needs an accommodation and they qualify, they will get the accommodation. The other question was, what are the costs involved? Now, we've discussed the costs from a Learnalot perspective to prepare for the exams, but what are the other costs involved?
So for the tests, the ready tests, before you have to pass a ready test before you can actually book an exam. And the ready tests are about 150 Rand per subject for a ready test. You can write the ready tests as many times as what you want to. We don't suggest that you write them over and over and over again, because there's just a certain amount of questions in the question bank. But you can do it a few times, and then once you've passed the ready test, the exams are $80 per exam, which at the moment I think is more or less in the region of 1,500 Rand per exam.
Yeah, just to be very clear, the practice exams, these GED ready tests that you need to pass before you're allowed to book the final exam, they are written at home. We do recommend that you use a invigilated environment for these exams, but you don't have to, you can keep your books open if you really insist. We don't recommend that, because then you're just not ready for the exam. But the final test, these final exams, these $80 exams, they have to be written at one of the 48 Boston City campuses around South Africa. So you have many, many different options of where to go and write the exams, but they have to be written in an invigilated environment. You're not allowed to bring paper or pens or calculators or anything with you into these exams. You're not even allowed to bring your own computer into the exam. Everything is provided for you in an invigilated environment. The most important thing that you do have to bring to an exam is your RD document. Without that, you will be sent away and you will be forfeiting the 1,600 Rand. So please don't waste money. Bring your RD with you. If you don't have an RD, you have to get one. You cannot write an exam without an RD. There are a few other options available, obviously, with passports, etc. But the general rule is bring your RD with you to the exam. Otherwise, you will not be writing that exam.
Sure. Now, we'd also just like to include there, exams can be rescheduled. So, you know, if you've scheduled an exam, there's an issue that you can't write that exam, you can reschedule that exam for months ahead, but you have to do it 24 hours before the exam. So if it's within that 24-hour period, you will not be able to reschedule it, but you can reschedule it as many times as what you want to.
And what happens if I fail an exam?
If you fail an exam, you can book the exam immediately again. You're allowed to have write 3 times in a row. After the 3rd time, though, you will not be able to book an exam again for 60 days. The GED wants you to go and revise before you can book an exam again. But also, if you do fail an exam, you get valuable feedback from the GED on your GED.com profile. They give you the skills that you need to focus on. They do not give you the test back. You cannot, people say, can they please get the questions that they got wrong? No, they don't give you the actual test back, but they do give you proper feedback on the skill that you need to focus on, before you book the exam and rewrite the exam again.
Excellent tips and information over there. For more information about the GED and about our offering, you can go to this link that I've just put onto the chat facility. So feel free to bookmark that. This webinar is being recorded. And so at the end of the webinar, we will process everything, and then we will email out a recording to everybody that has attended this webinar. Angela, thank you so much for agreeing to come at 6:30 at night to present and to be part of this webinar. Do you have any closing tips or suggestions for our GED students and parents?
Yes, I think, Sean, with the GED consistency, when you're preparing for your GED, try and be consistent in your studies. I think lots of students think that it's easy, it's comprehension, but we do find that if students are not consistent in their studies, putting their 2 hours in every day, they have these gaps in their study time, and they forget what they did 2 weeks ago. So definitely, if you are preparing for your GED, just keep at it and be consistent in your studies, and you will get there.
Absolutely. I think consistency is key. And it's not just key to studying, it's key to life in general. And on that note, thank you so much to everybody that joined our webinar. I hope it has been helpful and interesting. We will be sending out the recording, and have a wonderful evening, and thank you for joining us.